looks like it's sunny, but it might rain anytime because it's kind of sunny and cloudy. So welcome back to the channel, and right now I'm heading to Indiranagar. That's a part of the Bangalore, and most of the guys would have heard about Indiranagar. It's well renowned for its the restaurants, pub, and this kind of stuff. The first thing is I have to fill up the petrol, the fuel. Yep, so as I said, I'm heading to Indiranagar, and there is a small work kind of thing for me at the Canon showroom. I just got some filters for my DSLR. So I've been trying to film something in the DSLR camera, but when it comes to the DSLR, there are a lot of things that you have to take into consideration about the autofocus system and the lenses that you have to have for making videos, because you need to have some autofocus lenses, and there are like different types of lenses like the STM and the USM, so you should be clear of what you want to have in your videos so that you just get the right the wide angle or the tele. So when it comes to vlog, a normal DSLR camera would work, but it has to have autofocus system that will work when you're vlogging. So the cameras like the Canon 70D, Canon 80D, and the Canon 6D, and there are some cameras which has the dual pixel CMOS autofocus system. So those cameras will be like pretty much very handy when it comes to DSLR vlogging. And if you're going to be using a APS-C sensor camera like the 70D and the 80D, or the 77D also, it's going to be pretty good because you don't have to spend much more on the lens. Any APS-C lenses like regular, the kit lens, the 1855 or 18135 would be handy enough because it's got the right wide angle. Yeah, when it comes to APS-C sized cameras, APS-C sensor size cameras, you don't have to spend extra for the lenses. The regular kit lens would work. And when you set an aperture of, like, the regular kit lenses will come with the default aperture around 3.5 to 5.6, or some lenses might come around 4 to 5.6. It depends. So when you set the aperture, when you have to do a video, and when you want to do a video that's got 24 frames per second or 30 frames per second, you have to have the conventional frame rate. That's your shutter speed. The shutter speed should be twice the frame rate that you're going to be using. So if you're going to be using a 24 frames per second video, you should be using an optimal shutter speed of like 1/50th. So that will be exactly like around twice, not exactly, it will be around twice the speed of your frame rate. So that will give you a very good blurry motion, that like cinematic motion when you use it 24 frames per second. That's what all the filmmakers, the Hollywood, Bollywood, Kollywood, everything, they all use it 24 frames per second. There are some exceptions where they use the higher frame rate to give a sporty look, and but the movie kind of look, if you want to get the movie kind of look, you should be using the 24 frames per second, and the shutter should be 1/50th of a second. So when you do that, when you take a photo, it's not gonna be making a much of difference, because you can like increase your shutter speed and get the right exposure. But when you do the video, when you have a bright day, so when it's a bright day and you want to have the blurry background, like you want to have the shadow depth of field in your videos, you have to bring down the aperture like to f3.5. that's the minimum on a kit lens, but you have much more wider aperture lens like the 50, 1.8 and 1.4, 1.2. so when you use those kind of lenses, it's gonna give you a very good background. I'll just be back. I'll just fill up some fuel and I'll get back to the topic. Yep, so I'm done with filling up the fuel. Yes, we were talking about the much wider aperture lenses. So it is. So if you're going to be doing a video using a very wide aperture lens like a f1.2 or a f1.4 or a 1.8, and when you set the shutter speed to 1/50th of a second or 60th of a second, and you have the very wide aperture, and you set the ISO even down below to the lowest setting that you got like 100, but still you're gonna get overexposed. That's how the video works. So what you gotta have is you got to reduce the amount of light that comes into the lens, even having your aperture to be wide in the lens. So when you have the f1.2 and if you have a filter, it's like the sunglass for the lens. So if you have the filter, it will reduce the amount of light that comes into the camera sensor. So you will still have the shallow depth of field, and you can still work around the frame rates and the shutter speed. So you can still maintain the shutter speed to be around 1/60th of a second or 50th of a second, and have the aperture to be 1.2 or 1.8. So but you have a variable ND filter, that's called the variable ND filter. So you would just like mount that filter in front of the lens, so that the filter will control the amount of light. That's a kind of a manual setting. You can just turn around, like screw a little bit or tighten a little bit or loosen it a little bit, so that it will have the difference in the light that comes into the camera. So that is what actually the ND filter is used for, and it means so I'm going to get one of those ND filters. It depends upon the filter size on your lenses. So each lens comes with different filter size. So if you're going to be using a primary wide angle telephoto like 24-105 or 18-135, you will have some different kinds of filter size. And if you're going to be using a prime lens, it's going to be like a different set of a filter. So that's how you primarily do a proper video. Alright, so I'm back, and this is that filter. Sorry if you guys can see this. Yeah, this is the filter that I've got, and it just looks like a case, and where you have this filter. So this is how the filter looks like. So you will be able to adjust the light, the amount of light that comes in. Like if you can see right now, it just goes dark, and it comes out again. Are you able to see it? So it just goes dark now, and when you vary the filter, it just gives you the exposure. So that is what the variable ND filter is used for. So when you're recording on a camera that is got like a 1.8 aperture and it's running around 24 frames per second, so you will have to have the shutter speed to be around 50. So when it's 50, you will not be able to control the amount of light. As of now, it's in indoors, so you don't have that much of light. But when you go outdoors, you will have a lot of light coming into the lens because of the wide aperture. So that's why you will get this ND filter, and what it does is actually it just controls the light. So when you just put it in front of this, the light that comes into the lens is kind of controlled, right? So it just acts like a sunglass for the lens, and without that, that's the exposure level. So that's how this works. And you still want to maintain the blurry background and have to have the subject stand out of the background, but you still want to have the 24 frames per second and the shutter speed. You just got to go with one of these filters. I'll be doing some examples of this in my upcoming videos, and that was all about this. And thanks for watching the video, and just wait for another vlog soon. Take care. Bye.